So 7th grade, junior high, you remember what that's like. And, you know, if you look at the kids in 7th grade, you have sort of two different classes. You know, on the one hand, you have the kids who are sort of developing, they're becoming teenagers, so they're interested in boys or girls, they're interested in kissing each other and going out on dates and going to dances and things like that. And on the other hand, you have the kids, the little kids, and they're obsessed with things like toys and candy. And there's very little transit between those two worlds. These two groups, they inhabit these sort of very different worlds, and it's sort of like these parallel universes. And the kids who are more developed, I mean, why would they want to go back to the little kid world? And the little kids, of course, can't get into that big kid world. So I was definitely in the little kid camp. I collected baseball cards, which pretty much tells you all you need to know about my developmental stage. And so there's this kid in my class named Michael Stroman, and I had known him in elementary school, but he became one of these sort of more developed kids. So in 7th grade, I had no contact with him whatsoever. He was in my 3rd period math class. So one day he comes up to me after class, and I'm like shocked, because this is like the first time he's talked to me all year. And he says, do you know Ruth Lowenstein? And I say, yeah. And she was one of the prettier girls in the 7th grade, and one of the more developed kids. She had breasts, although in a good way. And he said, she's in your 5th grade science class, right? And I said, yeah, and I was shocked that he even knew that. And so he says, I want you to give this to her. And he gives me a note, and he tells me 3 things. Tell her it's from me, don't lose it, and don't read it. So I take the note, go out in the hallway, and I'd like to say I faced this moral dilemma about whether I should read this note or not. But it was no dilemma at all. I mean, first of all, what was I, a messenger boy? You know, I didn't want to get something out of this. And second of all, this was this sort of rare glimpse that I could get into this other world. You know, what's the secret code between boys and girls? I mean, I could read this note and find out what it is that a boy could say to get a girl to like him. So I'm really anticipating reading this note, and I get to a place where nobody's going to see me, and I open up the note, and it says, hi. And I'm thinking, I could write such a better note than this. You know? I would, you know, if I was sending a note to her, I would make fun of our fifth period science teacher who looked kind of like a caveman. I'd call him Fred Flintstone. It would be so funny and original. And so anyway, I go in fifth period. I go up to her, and she looks at me like, you know, what could you possibly want with me? I say, here's a note from Michael Stroman. And she's like, oh. And I'm thinking, wait till she reads this. She's going to think, you know, hi, what the fuck? You know? I give it to her, and she looks at it, and she squeals with delight. She gives it to a friend of hers who's sitting next to her, and she squeals with delight. And then all of a sudden, she's really nice to me, and she says, okay, I'm going to give you a note to give back to him after class. So I say, okay. So she gives me a note, and I look at that note, and it says, hi, with an exclamation point. What's added? What's the value added there? Okay. So after school, I see him walking with some friends, and I go up to him, and he's like, just, you know, he doesn't want to engage with me or read it in front of me or anything like that. And he says, from now on, just put it in my locker. So I'm thinking, well, why can't she put it in his locker? But okay, this is the system that. So the next day, he doesn't hand me a note. He just puts it in my math book and walks by. So it's sort of a surreptitious thing. So I look at the note, and it says, I like you. Oh. So I give her the note, and I get a note back, and it says, I like you too. And I'm thinking, okay, so this is the level of discourse here. It's not that interesting, but okay. So this goes back and forth, you know, and I mean, the only good thing about it at that point was I had this interaction with Ruth Lowenstein, which was good for my credibility, even though the conversation was more like, here, and okay, I'll give it to you. So, finally, it got a little more interesting. He gives me a note, and it says, would you go to the dance with me? So she gives a note back, and it says, yes. And so the next day, he's out, sick, and the note from her says, oh, I'm really excited, I bought a new dress for the dance. And so the day after that, he's back in school, and his note says, I'm sorry I can't take you to the dance. Or it wasn't even that nice, it was, can't take you to the dance, sorry. So I get this note, I send this note back, I'm getting kind of sick of this at this point, but, and she's like, why, what happened, and and so there's a few days when there's no note from him at all, it's like radio silence. She's looking more and more upset, and finally, he walks by and puts a note in my math book, and I'm thinking, oh wow, I wonder what this note is going to say. I can't wait to read this. And, not that I'm not sympathetic to the, it's pretty. And so I go out in the hallway, open my math book, and it's stapled shut. And that portal between those two worlds was now closed for me. And that was the last note ever. And I never found out whether she went with him to the dance, whether he went with someone else to the dance, whether she went with someone else to the dance. And I could never know that because I was not of that world. But I did realize that being on that other world wasn't all great, and maybe collecting baseball cards for now wasn't that bad.